right. Hello, and welcome to My Five. This is DWTT, Gary, for those who know me. Uh, what are we talking about? My Five, but first we'll get into the game a little bit. I am smiling, but I don't know why. Once again, this is one of those situations where a really disappointing game. You can see by the score, we lost by one, but it was should have been totally the other way around. We essentially dominated most of the game, but you wouldn't know it from the scoreline. Uh, we'll start with the lineup real quick and get into some of the play, and then we'll get into my five. When I started looking at the team, my first thought was, all right, let's see. I did. Sorry, and Eddie and Ketty at the top. That kind of was the first thing that kind of gave me, a little pause there. I was hoping to see Martinelli. That might have been a stretch. And Kedia, he's a striker. He knows that position, but he hasn't been playing well. He hasn't been playing much. What's the point of playing him? I think Martinelli has been actually playing, and he does a lot more than what I've seen from Nketiah, and it was pretty much proven in the game. Next up, I was looking at Emil Fro, Pepe, and Saka behind him. That should be good, right? Partey in the middle with Ceballos. Let's see how that goes. Partey, can he improve that middle for us? The back line of Chambers, Holding, Murray, and Xhaka. Xhaka at the left back. I mean, it has been working, but it's been working against some teams that it should work against. Against Everton with Rich Charlison, I think is how you say his name, and DCL. It's going to be a bit of a challenge, and it proved to be. But in general, if you look at the game, it shouldn't have never even been an issue. Really, we really played well, but we were just poor in the worst positions of all. The And then also one thing that I thought, going, before the game started, I looked at the lineup is, maybe Leno needs to be looked at because with that, the front twosome, I assumed that he would have to be on his game to be perfect, and not really perfect, but be, play like he usually does, make some really good saves for us, and because we're going to need it, especially if the back line was much of kind of a concern. I mean, Marie and Holding were playing, but like everybody's been saying, we have never had a consistency on that back line, and it shows every time we have an issue. You look and it's like, well, why weren't they out soon enough? Why are they taking these risks? And that's what happened there. So let's see. So we're going to. So that's the game. The bench looks pretty solid, right? You've got Gabriel Cedric there. You've got Erdiger there. You've got Martinelli there. So we've got what we need in terms of strengths and players that we can bring on and change the game around. So the game gets started. First half, I would say that was basically telling for pretty much how the game was going to go. We had many opportunities to attack. I wouldn't say opportunities to score, but to attack, and we pull back pretty much consistently every time. It was a little disappointing. I mean, I felt like we kind of let up and gave them the opportunities to regroup, get their defense set, as opposed to kind of putting the pressure on them and attacking as much as, anytime we could, because I believe we had the players to do that. But we just never took that chance, and I think we played right into their hands. They were able to absorb everything we had, because I don't think we actually took it to them. We, multiple times, and this isn't, I saw it from Pepe, but I believe you can look at probably every player that had the ball and had an opportunity to push the ball upfield. They all would pull back and reset, and that just puts the defense back in a good situation. And we're just not disciplined and patient with the ball to maybe get something out of that when it happens. I feel like we just need to attack, put pressure on them, take shots. I mean, we did take more shots than them, but not by much. If you look at the the game much and the amount of time we had on the ball, we didn't take much opportunity there, and the opportunities is probably what we're losing. You don't even see them come up in the stat sheets because you don't see the shot attempts and whatnot, but there are just so many opportunities where we could have attacked them and we just did not. And this is a game that's you can't tell from the stat sheet that we should have been dominating and actually won this game. That's a mentality, I think, with the team, but I also think I believe it starts with the manager, and then they're not able, and that's what you see on the field. I think the players are playing to what the manager's telling them to, and that's what we see. Um, he's disappointed in the loss more because of VAR than he is because of his players not doing whatever he told them to do. If he told them to do anything different than what they did, that's my concern, is that they actually were following his instructions, and that's what we're getting. The the one thing that I think you'll notice from the game, I think Everton basically was fine with sitting back and letting the game come to them and taking their opportunities when they were there. They were patient, and when they did attempt to attack, they usually ended up with a decent shot on goal. And for us, totally different. We did not get as many. Even when we got shots on goal, they were like dribblers. They weren't like really tough shots that maybe were off by a little bit, or Leno had to make a stop in that first half. But their goalkeeper didn't have to do much. I mean, he might have got a lot of shots thrown towards his goal, but none of them really pressured him any. I don't know if he made any saves, which I would say good one. Good one from the goalkeeper. A couple of times the ball would head off of come off of their defenders and roll to him. Just not enough if you're going to try to win a game, that you don't put any pressure on the back line, you don't put any pressure on the goalkeeper. Your shots have nothing on them. I think a lot of it's, for me, a lot of the prep work before the shot is taken. We're not ready to take those shots, and it shows. It shows. Just, some were talking about the protests before, but these players are supposed to be professionals, and what the fans are protesting has nothing to do with their play at this point. It isn't. It is something else, a little bit higher than where they are. Their mentality should be to go out there and play, especially after the last game. If they, any of the players that played in the last game and played in this one, they should have come out ready to go, because that was a disappointing way to, that was a good way to get a win, and maybe that's what they're satisfied with, but it was not a good game to play for the full 90, and that's what we got to play, 90 minutes, and we did not do that in the Fulham game, and we did not do that in the Everton game. A draw would have been, disappointing, but a draw would have been much better than the way that it ended up going, because that was all on us, all on Arsenal defense, goalkeeper, everybody had a part to play in that one. VAR couldn't save us. VAR has never saved us, really and truly, if you think about it. So we can't depend on that. It was a game that you just knew that the longer it went, the more chance we're going to have an opportunity to lose this one. And that seems to be the way with this Arsenal team. If we don't put pressure on them and able to get something out in a quick succession, if you think about it, the game against Slavia Prague, it was kind of slow, and then we went in, took advantage, and the next thing you know, the game's over. Well, we need to be able to find those opportunities and take them and finish them off. And games will go our way, I think, but they just didn't in this one. I mean, I looked at the stats trying to figure out, there's something in the stats that would tell us we took more shots. I mean, they took one shot in the second half. One shot in the second half. And we're not talking about where the own goal was in a shot, really. I think that was a cross, and it was it didn't get to Calvin Lewis, so it was, it should have been an easy save, but it wasn't. They got one shot in the second half. We got 8. And you wouldn't even have known. It didn't even seem like it that we got 8 shots, but we did. It took more corners than them. They actually hit the woodwork. I mean, I think when they did get shots, they were more threatening than ours, which is disappointing. I know we're playing without our starting and our second striker, but we do have enough players to be able to put some pressure on the goal. I mean, we can't make that excuse all the time. That, okay, we're missing Aubameyang, we're missing Lacazette, so now we can't score. We have to. We're gonna have to score. I mean, Aubameyang has been struggling all season, so it's not something that we shouldn't be able to do. They should be able to find a way to get the shots on goal. We're getting shots. We're just not. There's nothing on them. we're not working the ball enough to put the pressure on them. Um, yeah, yeah, we dominated the game by the stats, and it means nothing. It means nothing. The last two games, we dominated both games essentially, and we come away with 1 point, and got that 1 point in the last 30 seconds of the game. This one we lost a little sooner, but and for our situations, yes, that may come into it, but the foul on Ceballos, and that's I guess one thing you will notice about Ceballos, he goes down pretty easy trying to draw a foul, and it just doesn't work. I mean, I don't know what he's thinking. It just hasn't worked. He never really even gets touched in most scenarios. And then if he's able to not try and draw a foul, he may be able to get possession of the ball and maybe do something with it. But he's always trying to draw a foul, and it doesn't work. And then we pay, and it doesn't go our way. The ball gets away from us. So I have a feeling he just needs to stop trying to draw fouls and try to play the game. Because maybe that's when you're going to get fouled, is when you're not looking for it. But when you're trying to draw it, I don't think it works. Like I said, this game, if you look at a lot of the players, there were as many a time that our passes just went astray. I don't know if the thought process between the teammates just isn't on the same wavelength, and that's why the passes look so far off, or if they're tired, whatever it is, the passes just aren't, they're not even making it to us. So it's disappointing in that sense. Really bad, and that's every player. I mean, I saw a lot from Partey, I saw Pepe, I mean, Milsrif Rowe, I mean, you can name it. There's little things that the players did that just the passing just was off, and they weren't crisp. They didn't have any conviction behind them, so they barely made them there, or what, I don't know what it was, but we just looked really bad. And it can't be consistency and say it's all the players every time, because they look like this all season. So once again, either you're coaching it or you're letting it happen. So which one is it? Which one is it? Which one is it? I'd rather have some energy out there in the field than players that do exactly what they're told during practice. That's why I like to see Martinelli out there in the game, because at least I know I'm going to get some energy, and maybe we can use something with that. And most times that pressure turns into something. I think if you look at it, he was actually putting pressure on the back line just before they got their goal. And that made them rush and put that long pass out there, and that maybe put our defense in a risky situation. But we should have been able to close it down at that point. We had 5 Arsenal players coming back. They had their striker, and they had Richarlison out there. That was it. So essentially, we had 6 players, so there were 2. We should have been able to close that out, regardless of what's going on. I don't even think, if I recall, Holding even realized that DCL was running through the middle, and then when he finally did see him, it was well into the box, and then he was able to try to get to him, and he may have pushed him away from where the ball was actually going. But you should know, one, where the striker is on the opponent's side is his center back. I would have liked to have seen Mari come out a lot sooner on that. Once he saw Xhaka first make the first miss, and then he should have creeped over there a little bit more at that point. He did come over, but not close enough to close off that cross or shot that was being made. I think it was a cross, but I think it came out a little bit late. I would have liked to see him come sooner. It's his fault? Not really, but I kind of feel like sometimes you're going to have to back up your teammates when they either make a mistake, which is what happened in this case. I mean, Xhaka made a mistake. Why does he just get up and just jog back into the middle? What is going on there? He's supposed to be a leader. You fall down. You're in your defensive third. You make a mistake once. You make a mistake twice, and then you jog in, and then you just watch everything happen in front of you. This is what I say. Is disappointing about Holding. He's always there to watch the accident, and Xhaka did it. He does it all. He's done it multiple times. I thought it was fine in that left back role, and we knew it was going to be a challenge. This had nothing to do with the fact that they had better players out there on the wings. That you can't tell me that. No way. That has nothing to do. That has more to do with a player who just took a little bit of time off, and attention to detail was lost for a fraction of a second, and it turned into what it ended up being, which was their cross coming in and the goalkeeper losing, I guess, losing his concentration as well. So yeah, all in all, bad game. Let's get into my 5, and then we'll go from there. All right, everyone, here we go. All right, so there you go. So there's my 5, and we'll kind of take you through each one of the players. Like I said, I was kind of looking at the lineup, and I thought everything through the middle was going to be crucial for us, and that's kind of where I picked him. You can even see Leno in there, and that was kind of like just as I was about to say I'm finished with my 5. He said, you know what, I'm gonna do an add 1. I'm gonna see what Leno is going to give us today. Turns out it was important to do that. Milsroof, Rowe, and Pepe was hoping to see them kind of help out and give Nketiah something to do. Saka is always bringing us something, so I really don't necessarily have to look at him too often. But I was hoping to see more from Milsroof, Rowe, and Pepe in the game. Partey coming back into the lineup, I was hoping to see him get into form because we're going to need it for our next game. Did we see that? I guess we'll talk about it. Holding in the middle was, I wanted to see him do a little bit better with Marie as a partner because that's supposedly our strongest partnership right now because Luis is out. And then Leno, like I said, I just wanted to see better from him. All right, so let's get into it. First up is Milsroof Rowe. It's these types of games where you realize, wait a second, these guys are 19 and 20 years old that we're depending on. And are we asking too much for them sometimes? Because in a game like this where you want them to kind of shine and not able to sometimes, and I think that's understandable. He did okay. I mean, like I said, every player lost balls. He lost balls. It was hard to tell if he was actually on the pitch sometimes because it seemed like he disappeared in there. But I think he needs these games. I mean, it needs better play around him to improve everybody's game. But you can tell the difference between Milsroof, Rowe, and Erdegar when they're playing in that middle. Erdegar has been doing it for a little bit longer, is able to command a little bit more of the middle, and I think, like I said, it works much better with Partey. I think he opens himself up to Partey, so Partey knows he's going to be there, and that's the difference. When Milsroof Rowe's there, I don't feel like Partey feels like he's got that person in front of him that he can pass it to, and maybe that will come with time, because maybe Milsroof Rowe's running around a little bit too much and not really getting into pockets that Partey can get him the ball. But I think it wasn't a good game for him, but it wasn't a bad one either. It was just a blah game. It's one of those games I guess you're going to see from your players when they're still coming up into the ranks. He had a touch in the middle. I think Pepe gave him a pass, just a little heavy on it, and it ended up rolling to the goalkeeper, harmlessly. Not a game that I saw much influence from him, and that was kind of the same way in the last game. So that's kind of it for Milsroof Rowe. Next up, we'll go with Pepe. I did see him asking for the ball, but once again, I did see him taking the ball up the side and then basically letting the defense off the hook. Why? Just keep going, attack, get the ball take the ball into the corner, attack the middle, do something. But we always seem to just pull it back and then just reset, and then that never works for us. I've never seen us too often be able to pull the ball back and then players come in ready to take maybe a second wave or an attack on the defense. They just seem to be all ready to set up to play some style that just doesn't put any more pressure on the defense, so the defense could just sit back there and just sit back and just wait for us to try to go through and then they intercept the ball because they have too many players back there. We need to take advantage when we have it, and Pepe's footwork should allow him to get past any defender. He doesn't do it, and I think we pay for it sometimes. These are the opportunities that are lost and we don't take. He was a big culprit of that in the game. In reality, I don't think our attack did much. I mean, we did have possession of the ball. We did have it in their third. We just didn't put enough pressure on them, and we should have in a game like that because they do have weapons that can come back and get you if you don't. But luckily today we were able to contain that. and in another game they would come out and just take it to us and score multiple goals, but we were able to contain it, which I think shows that we were able to manage the game much better. But losing it on that the way we did, just not right. All right, so next up, I'm going to talk about Partey, and this, I think I have a lot to say about this one. Is he fully back? It doesn't seem like it. I mean, he, like most of the players giving ball away, he was probably our biggest culprit, and the one player that can make a tremendous pass, but also the player that can make some just easy giveaways, and you're like, how in the world did you just pass it to the wrong team? There was a point, I think, where he took maybe a knock on the ankle, and I think that maybe changed the way he played soon after that. I mean, there was a stretch in like the 39th, 48th minute where he just got to you. He got a yellow card for a free kick, and then another, then he gave away another free kick, all in the span of about 2 minutes. I mean, he's struggling, and maybe we'll see the better of him next season. I hope so. This one, I think, is just going to be a feeling out situation for him. We're not going to get the best out of him this season, and maybe we do need that off season for him to get himself right, get himself healthy, and then understand what the manager and coach wants him to do. Another thing, please no more shots from Partey. I don't even feel. I mean, no, I don't know. No, just no more shots. I mean, I love his passes when they're on the ground, and he's just slicing through the lines with the defense. But his shots are just disappointing to me, and I don't know if it's confidence, if it's just something he can't do because he's not healthy. But just no more, no more shots from Partey, please. I like the fact that he does help us manage the midfield, and that's good. Is he 100%? Not really. I guess 100%. No, he's not. But is he close to where we need him to be positive for the whole game? I don't think he's there yet. I don't think he can give us 70, 80 minutes right now. So I think we're just going to have to hopefully wait and see how this thing works out next season when we regroup and get better with some timing and time away, and maybe some time figuring out what best to do with the team we have. Not a good game from Partey. I hope it's just, like I said, hopefully it's just a stepping stone, and he'll be ready to go when we head out to Villarreal, because we're going to need it. We're going to need to control that middle. We're going to need him to be able to pass. I think the fact that Erdiger will be coming back and probably be going back into the middle will be, I think, a positive for us going forward. So if those two can work together, I think we'll be better off for it. Because it has looked really good, and I like to see that. So that's it for Partey. Yeah, not a good game from him, but not sure we're going to get the best out of him this season. So we're going to have some good times and bad times with him until the end of the season. Hopefully we have like 3 more good times, and they don't have to, and none of them are in the Premier League. That'd be really good. Otherwise, I don't really care what he does in the Premier League right now. I think we've kind of confirmed that those are off limits in terms of what we want to do. All right, so next up is Eddie Nketiah, striker. Coming into the game, like I said, I would have liked to have seen Martinelli up top. I think he gives us a little bit more, and from that front spot, Nketiah, I don't feel. I think he's just looking to take shots and get in positions, but he's not doing some of the extra stuff. He doesn't come back like Lacazette, and he can't put as much pressure, which sometimes you will see, or a lot of times you'll see from Aubameyang, put some pressure on that back line when he's into the game. Sometimes Aubameyang doesn't do that, and that's kind of what I look like from Eddie. I don't think he provided the pressure up top that we wanted to see. I did see it, when we're attacking. You just saw him trying to get into positions, but not really attacking that back line when we were on the defensive side. And I think that comes into play and helps us out as well, because it slows down their attack. So he needs to do a lot more. Will he be around for much longer? I don't know. He had came out of that Fulham game. You would hope he would use that to get something out of this game, and it didn't seem like it built anything for him in terms of it didn't influence his game in this one, so he wasn't able to build on it, and he didn't look. Did we have a striker? I don't know. He's not. We're putting crosses in. He's not able to get up to them. So what's the point sometimes? Otherwise, I mean, he took a shot. It was a really good attempt, but there was just two defenders behind him, and the ball kind of hit off one of them and kind of just rolled to the goalkeeper. Otherwise, not enough from him. And I think a lot of it isn't even with the ball. I think a lot of it is without the ball. Maybe on the defensive side, just not able to give as much. And the fact that he doesn't come back and support sometimes, maybe because that's okay. But he needs to do a little bit more, whatever it is, just to do a little bit more for me to feel good about him out there. All right, so next up, who do we have? We got Holding. Like I said, the one thing I wanted to see is how our defense would look, and the fact that they only got one shot in the second half has to be, something positive about the back line. Some of it could have been the rest of the team as well, but I feel like the defense really was able to kind of keep them at bay, even when they were getting some shots. They weren't easy ones. They did have they had defenders on them at all times. Defense was okay. It's hard to say anything negative about the defense when they gave up one shot in the second half of a game, but the one goal that was scored, I think, had a lot to do with the way that the defense set up, and I just felt like they should have been able to do a lot better than that. Holding is one. I mean, he didn't have anything to do with that, essentially, the own goal, but I felt like you could see he was, if that ball would have went a little bit back to the middle of the box, he would have been in trouble because Calvin Lewis would have been right there to maybe slot that home. So, because he was late figuring out that he was coming through the middle, which can't be. You have to know where your striker is as a center back. I mean, especially when you're coming. I mean, this is probably midway through, the half. Your defensive half. You've got to know where he is, and I don't feel like he either knew or he just turned off for just a second and then realized he was there, and that can't be. You got to know where he is. So that's it for Holding. Just I'm looking forward to seeing when we have Gabriel have a partnership that works for him, because I feel like that's where we're going. Would have liked to see if that was Marie, but I guess we're not going to see that, so we're just going to deal with that another time. And then last, Leno. I mean, he had some decent saves early in the game. Like I said, in that first half was when they had opportunities to score on us, and he was okay. He was good. He made some saves. I mean, made I think 3 saves, or made a save in the game, I think it was. But let's see how many saves we had in this game. We just had we had 1 save, which is really good, but otherwise they had 3, which is hard to tell because I don't know if their saves were actually shots that had any chance of making it to the goal because of all the interceptions and blocks that they were putting in front, players in front of the ball. But Leno, we needed him to be good for 90, and there was a little blip, and we paid for it. I didn't think he had much to do, and that you can tell by the stats. He just did 8 shots total in the game for them, 1 in the second half. So all he had to do was make sure he was able to, make decent stops when the ball was coming to him, and close clearances when make clearances when the ball was crossed in, and he wasn't able to do that. The one big chance that they got where they got close to the goal, I smiled, but I kind of was thinking, Leno would have to have a really good game, and he didn't, and that kind of, we lost the point that way. And as of today, we are now dropped to 10th. Leeds was able to draw today against United, which is, teams are playing tougher opponents than us and getting points out of it. And today we didn't get any, and we're not playing United. We're playing Everton, who's just ahead of us, and still nothing. They get the win. Now they're 6 points ahead of us with a game in hand still. So we're not doing our jobs. There's certain things we have to do. We're not doing them. But this is This should have been no different than going into the second leg of Europa with the mindset that you need to have to get something out of that game. We were able to do that. It only took, 10 minutes, but we were able to do that. In this one, 10 minutes of pressure from us, and we could have got this game. It didn't happen. Like I said, Leno, just one bad miss and one bad handling by him, and the game was lost, and we weren't able to get it back. Uh, like I said, that's it for my 5. Like I said, Leno just didn't have a good game at the end. In the first half, it was pretty good. Not in the end. That's it for my 5. I hope you enjoyed it. Make some comments, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Check me out on Twitter. I'll be out there talking about Arsenal. So here we go. So come on, you Gooners, and I'd like to leave you with these words: life is a journey. Don't waste the trip. Enjoy the ride.